as many of you know, the news came out that Just Dingers Martinez, a.k.a. JD Martinez, a.k.a. the love of my life, signed with the New York Mets for $12 million. A paltry $12 million, Jesse.
Surely you mean $20 million, right?
No, I'm just gonna leave. You just do this by yourself, because if you're gonna start off like that, it's already pissing me off. God damn it.
Yeah, 12 million is definitely lower than, I think some outlet had 12 million. I want to say Fangraph's estimate was 12 million. Are you aware of the way that this money?
No, I don't want to. I'm not aware. All I'm aware of is he's not a Diamondback. That's what I'm aware of.
All right, I guess I just have to do the show now. Okay, Derek is coming back. So he's making $4.5 million this year, Derek, with $1.5 million deferred each year
through like 2038,
from 2034 to 2038. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say if the Diamondbacks 2 months ago, before they signed Joc Pederson, come to Scott Boras and offer $4.5 million with $1.5 million deferred for 5 years in the mid-2030s.
Scott Boras would have found the tallest building in Arizona and told them to go jump off of it. That's what he would have told them. That's exactly what he would have told them.
I don't know if Scott Boras would have said that, but I know.
Well, Scott Boras
I'm paraphrasing.
He's a big guy.
Use much more colorful language. I am furious right now, Jesse. $12 million. You're absolutely right. There is no way that when the Diamondbacks were pursuing their DH, thank you. You just let that play the whole time. There is no way that they offered him $12 million and they rejected, or like anyone, like the Diamondbacks had to have offered him that or more. This has to be Scott Boras taking another goddamn L. You waited too long, Scott. Just admit it to us. You are washed. Your days are up, old man. The future is now.
You done? You good? You ready?
Go ahead. Let's talk about Joc Pederson and his $9.5 million with a freaking opt-out. God, I'm so upset.
So if we look at how Joc Pederson and JD Martinez's numbers compare for the 2023 season, JD Martinez was better. There's no way around that. JD hit 271 last year with 33 homers and 893 OPS. Joc Pederson at 235 average, 15 homers, a 764 OPS. JD was worth 2.2. Fangraphs WAR and Joc Pederson was worth 0.6. We have talked about how Joc Pederson's underlying numbers were quite strong last year and suggest that maybe he was better than those numbers showed. But yes, the Diamondbacks did give Joc Pederson $12.5 million guaranteed. They also, on top of that, to kind of solve this same DH problem, they also gave Randal Grichuk $2 million guaranteed plus incentives.
Thank you for including that.
So you're really, I think that's really the comparison you have to do. It's not just Martinez versus Pederson. It's Martinez versus the platoon combination of Pederson and Grichuk, which the Diamondbacks paid several more $1 million for. But yes, it's all about timing, right? I don't think we need to have this sourced to know that Scott Boras wasn't taking $12 million 2 months ago. He wanted more than that. He probably wanted a 2-year deal instead of a 1-year deal.
3 years, maybe.
We talked a lot on this show about how we thought it was going to take a 2-year deal to get JD Martinez. But that window closed, and like Scott Boras has done with pretty much all of his other clients this offseason, it appears he just waited too long and was backed into a corner. And I know there was one report that the Mets were not going to sign JD unless it got to a point where it was just irresistible. And I can understand why this contract would feel pretty irresistible to them. $4.5 million this year. You're deferring the rest for way out in the future. It's a really good contract for a guy who is very, very good in 2023.
It does give him that stability in the future for him to know that those are going to be his days of not playing baseball, and he's still going to be getting paid money. I will say this in order to calm myself down. If you take a look at Joc Pederson's 2022 numbers in San Francisco, it's a very different story, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about a guy with an 874 OPS, a 274 batting average, 23 home runs, 70 RBI. This is a guy that is very much closer to JD Martinez. Now, it's not to say either of these guys are young, but it does feel like JD Martinez has a few more miles on him. There is that thing about the fact that
Joc is 31, JD is 36.
Right. And so I think from that perspective, Joc Pederson is much more likely, I think, to have a better season than he had last year than JD is going to have a better season than he had last year with the Dodgers, right?
Yeah.
And as Groundhog Mama pointed out earlier in the chat, JD is going to start the league or start the year in the minors, like we talked about, where some of these guys are coming into camp so late based on them signing so late that they are behind and they need to get themselves ramped up because they haven't been playing baseball like at a competitive level, this entire offseason.
Yeah, Blake Snell, I think also I saw that he's not going to be ready for opening day either. It's probably a safe assumption at this point with guys who are just signing now.
Anybody signing past like the 15th of March, right?
You can build up to a certain pitch count on practice fields or whatnot, maybe find some hitters to face, but like until you have access to face real major league hitters, over multiple innings, you're not really going to be ready for the regular season. Sure. Hypothetically, if the Diamondbacks had known how this was going to play out in advance, yeah, I guess you wait and you don't sign Joc, you don't sign Grichuk, you wait until March 21st and you outbid the Mets for JD Martinez, I guess. But there's a lot of risk there, right? If you don't sign Pederson or Grichuk when you do, those guys probably find deals with other teams, and then you kind of wind up in a Martinez or bust situation, which could be a little uncomfortable. Like we know how this played out now, but the Diamondbacks wouldn't have had any assurance at the time that JD Martinez's price was going to fall, or that even if it did, that they would necessarily wind up with him, right? Like Martinez might have his own preferences. Maybe another team swoops in at the last second or whatever. You don't always have full control over these things.
You're talking for so long that it's not, you're calming me down, and I hate that you're calming me down. I pulled the microphone out of the stand so I could yell because Tim's right. I don't want to agree to this. I'm falling to the dark side. You're convincing me. This was a stupid idea, and we should have pushed all of our chips in on JD. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope we're playing baseball in Joctober, and I hope that's all we can talk about at that point. But I am very skeptical that that's the case, and I don't think that we're going to see. I don't know. I don't know what to say. Joc Pederson is really raking in MLB The Show for me, so I'm conflicted. But I will say that JD Martinez going to the Mets for $12 million is very upsetting. I do feel like the team is more well-rounded the way that we are currently stacked, though, right?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, when we had this conversation a few months ago, one of the points against JD was that his projections, which we talked to Dan Szymborski himself, the god of all projections, about why JD's projections for this season are actually pretty poor. Yeah. Like Joc Pederson, according to the computers, is going to be a better player in 2024 than JD. Granted, there's value in having only one roster spot taken up by your like DH solution rather than having two roster spots as the D-backs have now. I guess you could argue that the D-backs have some outfield flexibility now. Grichuk can play some center field. That's something that JD certainly couldn't do. But in general, you'd rather have one guy rather than a platoon, just from a roster construction standpoint. But yeah, it's a hindsight is 2020 situation. I just think this just wasn't meant to be for the D-backs. Like it just wasn't meant to be.
Tim just wants us to stop.
As sad as that is for the vibes, which I do very much understand that.
Groundhog Mama is correct. JD Martinez is older than Merrill Kelly, so he could have freed him of that obligation.
That's possibly the best argument in favor of getting JD.
Right? Because see, Merrill's like old man Merrill, right? Merrill at times yeah, I mean, I get it. He has big get off my lawn kind of energy. We've seen that from him, right? JD Martinez, he's like that suave older guy. You know what I mean? Like he's that dude that's still wearing like a fedora and stuff. Oh
you
man,
think Merrill Kelly has big get off my lawn?
He absolutely has get off my lawn energy. Do you not remember him getting angry at the air conditioning at Chase Field? Come on, Jesse.
I think that was a pretty valid complaint. I think that was pretty valid.
Cramping. What about him hating the throwback colors and then also not liking the current colors? Like that's a great example. He doesn't like anything.
There is, I don't even feel like I need to justify it. The fact that you're surprised I'm saying Merrill Kelly has get off my lawn energy is more surprising to me than anything else. But I'll also say that this hurts way more than the Giants signing Jorge Soler to the 3-year, $42 million deal, even though it's not like
That one was also lower.
That's what I'm saying. It's
all
not
of
a
these
tremendous
contracts
amount
are lower
of money
than we
lower
thought they would be. Yeah,
Scott Boras is washed. That's the point of this whole segment.
Correct.
It's not how angry I am about JD Martinez. It's that Scott needs to hang him up. You know what I mean? Get the jersey up in the rafters and call it a career because, you know. Well, no, wait. Change your tune first. Sign some extensions, including Zach Gallen's extension, and then hang it up. That's what I need him to do. But
how old do you think Scott Boras is?
238 years old.
Wow.
I don't know. How long do vampires live? I don't know. Tell me that. How old is Scott Boras?
He's 71.
You see? Yeah.
He's an older guy. He's an older guy.
Come on, man. Go enjoy your time. Stop harassing these Major League Baseball teams. They're done with your shenanigans.